Good evening. We'll call to order the March 1st, 2022 full City Council meeting. The clerk will call the roll for attendance.
Anderson Burgos.
Here.
Bartley.
Here.
Gavner.
Here.
Jordan.
Here.
Maldonado Velez.
Here.
McGee.
Here.
McGivern.
Here.
Murphy Ramboletti.
Here.
Coelho.
Here.
Israel Rivera.
Here.
Jenny Rivera.
Here.
Tallman.
Here.
Bacon.
Here.
Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
God bless America.
the City of Hoyoke.
And the City Council.
Is there public comment? Is there a sheet? No one signed up here. Anyone online? None? Anyone online for public comment? You have to raise your hand.
Make a motion to go number one.
All right, motion is to go to number one. One is a from the mayor, a letter appointing Stephen Fay to the local historic district commission, Fairfield Ave,
Motion to send to public service.
to public service. All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed?
Motion to suspend, take 2 and 3 together, and motion to suspend and approve the appointments.
All right,
Second.
motion is to take up 2 and 3, suspend the rules. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed. 2 is a from the mayor reappointing Mike Falsetti to the Hoyoke Housing Authority. It's a 5-year term. It will expire April 5th, 2027. 3 is a letter reappointing Rosemary Arnold as a member of Conservation Commission, which will expire February 1, 2025. Motion is receive, adopt, and confirm the reappointments. All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed?
Aye.
4 is from the clerk as well as from our city
Motion
administrator.
receive.
It's the minutes
Second.
for February 15th, 2022. Motion is to receive. Any questions, comments, corrections? No. All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? 5 is from the CPA. It's a list of projects and recommendations.
Mr. President, if I can make a motion to receive and adopt for the purpose of discussion.
Motion is to receive, adopt, under discussion. Councilor McGivern.
Thank you. Councilor Israel Rivera represents us, and I was talking to Councilor Rivera and talking to yourself. In the past, we've accepted these with a brief breakdown by our representative on CPA. I think most of us know that the projects are very well scrutinized by the commission itself. The reason I made the motion this evening, though, is for discussion purposes, if everybody is willing. There are 2, one very time-constrained project here, which Yoni has asked us to see if we can adopt it tonight, to please adopt it within 2 weeks. But I just, for the purpose of discussion, if anybody's interested, I'd just like to see if we could approve these this evening.
Councilor Jordan.
Yeah, maybe Councilor McGivern would have the answer. I don't know too much about the first one, the Scotts Tower Kestrel Land Trust. Is there some maneuver here to turn these city lands over to the Kestrel Land Trust?
No, I can clarify a little bit, if anything.
Okay.
I believe either a year before or 2 years ago, Kestrel Land Trust, in collaboration with the city, purchased the property because the person was putting it up for sale. I could be wrong, don't quote me on it. But ultimately, I think Kestrel holds the deed on the land, and then eventually they are to transfer the land back to the city. But again, don't quote me on it because it was a while back. But in the process right now, we're trying to develop the whole area so that when it comes back to the city, it'll be a place that people can frequent and visit. I believe Joni said he could make himself available if we needed to be able to ask him questions in regards to it.
I believe that he might actually be here
Yoni
tonight.
is on. We can suspend the rules to allow him to speak.
I'm sorry, who are we?
Yoni is from Conservation.
Conservation.
He can
Oh,
answer
okay.
questions. But hold on, Councilor Bartley has
Well,
a question.
I mean, this is why we don't have committee meetings at full city council. And it's not our fault that this is before us right now. So I'm sorry, but I mean, I do recall the vote we took with the Kestrel Land Trust. They're an honorable organization, and this is part of helping to preserve some of that property up that way. And there is a bit of a swap, but I don't remember all those intricate details. And since we are talking about taxpayer dollars, I'd feel much better sending this to a committee meeting so we can have a discussion on it. Or if that's impossible, if there's no committee chairman willing to take this, and any committee chairman can take this for a committee meeting in the next 2 weeks. If there's no willingness to do that, then I at least want to drill down, and we can have Yoni in here in 2 weeks to ask some intelligent questions. That would be my take. Thank you.
You want to send it to finance for 2 weeks?
If the chairman's willing,
If I could, Mr.
Yeah,
Mr.
Counselor
President.
McGivern, hold on.
Absolutely. That was Plan B, and understood, no problem. It's going to be a hefty finance agenda with the incoming this evening, and there's a lot of time constraints, but we can do it because we are I shouldn't be speaking for the whole committee, should I, Councilor Jordan? But we'll do it, no problem.
All right, so send.
Mr. President,
Counselor
if I may,
Rivera. Yep.
I would like to still try to suspend the rules to give Yoni at least a shot to kind of elaborate on some of the questions that Kevin had right now, so that way nobody's in question. He has more details, and I don't want to kind of have to be the person to speak and maybe misspeak to something that he spoke, if that's okay with the rest of the committee, if the council.
I'd support that.
So the motion is to suspend the rules to allow Yoni to ask or answer the questions that were here. All those in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Is he he's transferring over? Give him 1 second. Good evening. Can you hear us?
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yep. We gotcha. Perfect.
Great. So I can talk really briefly about this. My office has 2 projects that were on this as part of these CPA projects. In answer to the question about Scott Tower, in late 2020, we had an opportunity to add 14.1 acres to the park. And the goal was to use that as an opportunity to catalyze a full revitalization of Scott Tower and the surrounding Anniversary Hill Park. It was too soon. It was too quick for getting full grant funding from other sources. So what we did working with Kestrel Land Trust was they pre-acquired those 14.1 acres, and we got half of the funds for acquisition approved by CPA, and we applied for the other half of the funds, the other $150,000 from the Land and Water Conservation Fund. And that's been held up to some degree. We're still hoping to hear back from them soon. Some things going on at the National Park Service that I don't fully understand for final approval of the federal funds. But we were also able to use some CPA funding for preliminary site design and get some concepts so that we could use them for future grants for the revitalization efforts. And the stage we're in right now is we have that process recently completed in January. We had a community vision event that some counselors attended and other members of the public. And right now we're applying for grants for next year to do improvements to the park, but we're kind of waiting to hear back from those. And in the meantime, this $30,000 would be for site survey and some preliminary designs just so we can keep the process moving. And then when next year comes around and the next CPA funding round, we can see what funding we were able to get and whether we need additional funds at that time. So the project that I mentioned that's more time sensitive is trail improvements to Glutok Woods. This is an open space project, our first open space acquisition with community preservation funds. And it's $47,000 for improvements to the trail, building some crossings and a kiosk, and relocating some of the trails where it makes sense and making it more inviting to the public. And that's something we hope to do this summer in July and August. And we're going to have to solicit quotes and do some permitting and hire a contractor. And that's the one I'm hoping to get approval so we can start that process soon. Whether that's tonight or, coming to talk to Finance Committee on the 7th and then returning to the full council on the 15th. How is that?
Okay. Counselor Jordan.
Yeah, Yanni, Kevin Jourdain, nice to meet your acquaintance. Wanted to ask you a little bit more about the Scott Tower one. So there's no money, strike that, there's no land of the city that's being turned over to anybody else. In the end, we retain all current city property, plus, if I heard you carefully, we're actually going to get an additional 14 acres. And do you happen to know who was the original owner of the 14 acres before Kestrel got it?
It was Anniversary Hill Development. There were plans to build condo units there if they could get a zone change. I forget the name of the particular property owner.
Okay.
And that's correct. Kestrel, it's a pre-acquisition, and that's because for grants like Land and Water Conservation Fund, if the city had bought the land, if we already owned it, we wouldn't be eligible for the funds to apply for grant funding to acquire it. So we're doing kind of a pre-acquisition where they bought it from the property owner at first and are kind of holding on to it while we try and get the funding fully secured. And at that point, the city would purchase it using that grant funding, combination of grant funding and CPA funding from Kestrel Land Trust. They would continue to hold a conservation restriction. That's a requirement of the Land and Water Conservation Fund, but that wouldn't preclude the city from doing any related park improvements that might be desired or planned.
Would their restrictions only be on the 14 acres? Yes.
That's correct.
It wouldn't affect our property, correct?
Correct.
Okay. And is the ultimate goal to rehabilitate Scott's Tower?
Yeah, absolutely. Scott Tower, the other CCC era stonework, and also possibly we're looking at options for other improvements to make it more accessible, parking areas, other trails, benches. The idea is to make the entire park more appealing to visit and a destination for all Holyoakers.
Okay, great. That was my questions on that one. So thank you very much.
Counselor Bartley.
Okay, I'll make a motion to suspend our rules, and so we can take final action on Glutech Woods, and then I'm going to follow that with another motion to send all the rest of it to the Finance
Do
Committee.
you want number 2? Or do you want, so Scott Tower Anniversary is phase 1, or the top one, and the second one is Glutech Woods Trail.
Yeah, I think all of us here have been here more than half a second, are very familiar with this project.
I'll second that motion.
Okay,
So motion is to take up Glutech Woods and approve that one tonight, correct?
Yes.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
and my subsequent motion is to take the rest of it and ship it to Finance first.
And then the rest of the
Second.
one for CPA to send to Finance. All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? So that one goes that way.
Thank you.
Thank you, Counselor Bartley.
Thank
Got
you.
it, Joe.
Thank you.
All right, so that brings us to 6. It's a outreach meeting for March 7th.
Receive and
Receive.
send to ordinance.
Receive, send to ordinance. All those in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? 7 is
Motion
the
received.
Park and Rec minutes for December 2nd, 2021. Motion is to receive. All those in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? President's report, Counselor Bartley, March 15th. We're good to go for here in the chamber for everything. Just want to give an update for that, Counselor Bartley.
Yeah, thanks for bringing that up, Todd. First of all, really exciting. So we had the flag raising today. Pete, Juan, the mayor. I'm probably missing a couple other people that were there. There was a really great turnout, and then we confirmed that we're going to have the Caledonian Band in here on the on the 15th. I confirmed that this afternoon. I confirmed with Mark Joyce's daughter, anyhow, that the parade committee's, I haven't spoken with Mark, but I know that Jeff has been updating the parade committee, and I think they're pretty much gung-ho about getting here on the 15th with whomever they can bring. And then, so whether it's members or award winners or Colleen's, that sort of thing, is really exciting. I did also confirm with Hibernians that they're going to have a contingent here as well on the 15th for the first time. So we'll have a couple, three nice groups, and it's something that I think a few of us, when we started this 6 years ago, it's really kind of blossomed. So thanks for bringing that up, and that'll be right at the start of the meeting, Todd. Thank you.
Two, I want to thank Councilor McGivern, who attended the mayor's ball on my behalf. For those who may or may not know, I was home with COVID. I'm out of quarantine, but thank you, Councilor McGivern, for attending on my behalf and speaking.
It was a pleasure. I have no idea what I said.
That's
I think I became an Hispanic, though.
I heard it was recorded.
He did
I watched.
great. He did
Honor.
great.
Another update is the interpreters are here. I know there were some questions on that, but they're via Zoom. And then finally, the notice just came across while we were talking about Scott's Tower. Sean from the Board of Health has updated us that effective immediately, the mask mandate has been rescinded.
Oh, yeah.
Hallelujah.
So, if
I didn't shave today.
you do or do not want to wear it, that just came across, and I will get confirmation from.
You always
Still
have the right to
recommended
wear
for
it.
those who have weakened immune systems that you do still wear the mask, but that just came across now. Councilor Bartley.
Yeah, I just want to, I think all of us are in agreement that we want to thank one of our most veteran employees, Todd and I and Brenna and Joe and a few others made it to Debbie Haslam's retirement after 50 years with the city of Holyoke. So it's she was given a proclamation by the city council president, by the mayor of the city. They're a very nice party with her close colleagues and friends at the collector's office. I know the collector's office is in good hands with the new collector, and then Yaritza's a veteran now too, so she's really good. But I think I'd be remiss to not point that out. So congratulations to Debbie for her 50 years of service to the city.
Oh, thank you for that. Councilor McGivern.
In the spirit of green, Mr. President, just a couple of quick announcements. Jeffrey, our administrative assistant now is a full-fledged member of the parade committee, doing a fantastic job. So anybody feel free, if you have questions about upcoming events, to contact him. Jeff knows I'm saying this, I think. But one event I just want to bring to everybody's attention is this Saturday. For many years, anybody that drove by the old Yankee Peddler on Northampton Street saw a horse and buggy that stood out there. Very few people knew that horse has a name. When the Clayton family sold the Yankee Peddler to People's Bank, they did not include the sale of Dobbin. Dobbin, the horse, was taken over by the parade committee by a design, and the parade committee contracted with the Holyoke Merry-Go-Round, and the retirement home of Dobbin is the Holyoke Merry-Go-Round. All the parade committee wants is once a year, they rent the merry-go-round for 2 hours and have a Dobbin party. This Saturday, it didn't happen for 2 years because of COVID. This Saturday, 3 years ago, 250 people attended, families, free rides, come in. I think it's $5 to get in, but everything is free. Well, we're gonna charge you for the popcorn. But when you get there, the parade committee sells all their tartan projects. They usually sell out. It's just a nice get-together. The other event Saturday, if you're thinking of going to see the Marshall Mania YouTube cover band at the warehouse, it's completely sold out. It's the second time this band is sold out. It's done. A couple of councilors have asked us about the ambassador breakfast. A lot of people like to stop at the ambassador breakfast. The ambassador was Mayor, Mayor Walsh from Boston. It's now Secretary Walsh. All right, this is gone. It's gone viral. Ireland usually sends a representative for this. They're sending some of their top dignitaries. Tables are going up quick. It's at Whitecloth. I forget how many tables, but over half of them are sold. if you're thinking of going, a lot of people are going to get shut out. It's time to get a ticket. It's an early breakfast, and then there'll be a shuttle, if you wish, to bring you to the parade if you're marching. Thank you, Mr. President. Just, yeah, and anything, just see if quickly, as far as tickets go, but just let Jeff, keep you up to date and let you know what you need to do.
Great.
So, Joe, just quickly, for Saturday, merry-go-round, what time?
Merry-go-round 2 to 4.
2 to 4.
A little before 2, it'll go to at least 4:30.
I put my mask back on because I was given another notice that, because Jeff is near me. Thanks, Jeff. I got to wear my mask. I got a lot of reports coming in right off the.
Please wear that mask. Please wear that mask.
After your announcement, I said, "Why am I taking my mask off? You're too close to me."
I think they're just trying to tell me something. Wear the mask. It covers up. Anyways, we'll move on. All right. Anyone else? No. Okay.
Two things actually.
Councilor Jordan.
Yes. I think we're on now for 6 o'clock next meeting for the legal update, Mr. President.
So the 15th, 6 o'clock here for the executive session.
Okay, very good.
Then we'll do the parade stuff, and then we'll get to the full council meeting.
And I also wanted to ask the indulgence of the body to have a moment of silence for the people of Ukraine. Obviously, all of us in the entire world are captivated by these atrocities that are taking place in the Ukraine today, by the invasion by Russia into this peaceful country. And I would ask for a moment of silence for the people of Ukraine.
All right, so a moment of silence, please. Thank you.
Thank you.
Councilor Anderson Burgos.
Yeah, I just had a quick question. I'm playing it by ear right now, but for the executive session, will there be a Zoom option? Do we know?
Yeah, we did that last time. There was a Zoom option, but it's not recorded, and it's just for
Right.
listening purposes, yes.
Okay, thank you.
We did it one time before, yep. All right, so with that, we're on to reports of committees. Ordinance 8A, Committee on Ordinance was referred in order that the handicap sign placed in front of 76 Chapin be approved. That does have legal form. I bring that up because in the next few, we'll tell you what happened. With that, so this would be motion to be receive, adopt,
So this is motion to pass the first reading.
pass the first reading. Under discussion, Councilor Vacan.
This is pretty straightforward. Disabilities Commission went out and reviewed the application and recommended its approval for this address. So straightforward.
So pass the first reading. All those in favor?
Aye.
All opposed?
Motion to pass the second
Motion
reading.
pass the second reading. All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed?
Motion that the passage be ordained.
Motion that the passage be ordained. The clerk will call a roll. If you vote yes, and you're not going to vote yet.
Oh, yes, our meeting, our raffle. Want me to pull it?
Pull it and
read
read
it
it to us.
Here we go, and the winner is,
The winner is.
Juan Anderson Burgos.
So with that, the name's been picked. It's Councilor Anderson Burgos will be the first to vote. So motion that the passage be ordained. The clerk will call the roll. If you vote yes, you're voting for the sign.
Anderson Burgos,
Yes.
Bartley,
Yes.
Givner,
Yes.
Jordan,
Yes.
Maldonado Velez,
Yes.
McGee,
Yes?
McGivern,
Yes.
Murphy Ramboletti,
Yes.
Coelho,
Yes.
Israel Rivera,
Yes.
Jenny Rivera,
Yes.
Tallman,
Yes.
Dakin.
Yes. So, Mr. President,
So with your vote, you approve that one. So
motion is suspend rules and take up B and D as a package.
B and D.
Second.
Motion to take up B and D, suspend the rules. All those in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? B, Committee on Ordinance, meet with the Water Department Superintendent and Commissioners, amend ordinance restricting activities for fishing and dog walking, recommend that be adopted. D is Committee on Ordinance, review, recommend ordinance changes pertaining to our reservoirs, including but not limited to the increase of fines, penalties, etc. Recommend that be adopted. Councilor Vacan.
Thank you. So I will give the committee report, and then I'll ask for this to be tabled. You all have the legal language that was provided to us timely relative to the amendments that the Water Commission has been seeking for some time. However, we do not have the signed legal form for the president tonight. So although we've had it in time for everyone to review, we can't move on it tonight. But I would like that if there are any questions or concerns about the language that everyone has had time to review, for that to be brought up tonight, so that when we do get it signed, we'll be just getting it moved forward into ordinance form.
All right, so motion is to table, simply because we're waiting for the legal form to be
Right.
signed.
I don't see any questions, so I guess everybody's good with it.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Aye.
You then have C and E, Counselor, you want to pick up, or?
Yes.
So
Oh,
C-
wait, it's, that E is separate.
Okay, so taking up C.
C.
Committee on Ordinance has referred that the DPW Commissioner appear before the Ordinance Committee to discuss proposed language change to 2-201. Recommend that be adopted.
So in this case, we had a very good discussion. We made a number of amendments to the draft legal form that had been provided to us. However, I am informed tonight that due to illness in our legal department, they were unable to get the legal form to us, either ahead of time or even by tonight. So we will need to table this because I could talk about it, but there's so many amendments that were made. It's better, I think, if everyone has a chance to review it first.
Make a motion
So
to
motion
table
to
8C.
table.
So motion is to
Second.
table 8C. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? E is Committee on Ordinance to refer that the city amend its zone ordinance to allow front yard pool special permit for city council. Recommend that that be adopted, and that also does have
So-
legal form as well.
Yeah, so the motion, I would just like to just do a brief explanation and then make the motion to table. That the committee is recommending this for approval, that it would come before the city council for a special permit. But let us wait to get the legal language before us, so you know what, it will be coming at the next meeting, so the motion is to
So
table.
moved.
Motion is to table E as well. Counselor Murphy-Rambolet.
Okay. Just to clarify, Counselor Bacon, do you want any kind of questions on this order tonight, or would you prefer, I know you had a discussion about this at your,
I think for the two for which we do not have the language, it would be better if everyone has the language first.
okay. Thank you.
Thanks.
All right, so to table E, all those in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? All right, Counselor.
Motion to suspend rules and take up F and G as a package.
Okay, motion to suspend rules, take up F and G as a package. All those in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Committee on Ordinance, this is F. Committee on Ordinance has referred a request for, from Council, Commissioner Patty Devine for 2-201, which was just referenced up in C. Recommended that it has been complied with. And then G is Committee on Ordinance was referred pursuant to the authority granted under Section 3, Charter 556, the Acts of 1984. The City Council declares the duties and qualifications of the General Superintendent of the Department of Public. And this was also to deal with Section 2-201, which is the qualifications for Commissioner for DPW.
Right.
So this has also been complied with as well.
Thank you,
Under
Mr.
discussion,
President.
Counselor Bacon.
Those were basically supporting documents to the orders that we acted upon. So,
All right, so for F and G, motion is that they've been complied with. All those in favor?
aye.
All those opposed?
Aye.
So motion to suspend rules and take up 8H through 8V.
Okay. Motion to suspend the rules, take up H through V as a
And ask
package.
for abbreviated reading.
And you want me to
So
read them in detail? Yes.
This is a continuation of cleanup in the jacket for those folks who find that things don't always get moved out in a certain period of time. You have seen from the number of orders remaining in the jacket that it is not always possible for that to happen, regardless of who or when the person chaired the committee. So just keep that in mind as we're trying to set tight timelines.
All right, so suspend the rules, take up H through V as a package. All those in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? H is the zone ordinance, section 4.38A, requires special permit prior to granting permission for the use of all residential districts in the city. No longer allowed for use as of right. That's what leave to withdraw. I, Committee on Ordinance, was referred in order that the CPC ordinance be amended to require CPC come before the City Council to present on the decisions. That's withdraw. J is the Committee on Ordinance was referred in order that the resident-only permit parking area created in front of 45 and 52 Canal Street, that's leave to withdraw. K is effective March 26, 2021 for the remainder of 2021 or sooner to allow Mass General Court and acting mayor to accept mayor's salary basis of performing part-time. That's leave to withdraw. L is also with regards to 4.3A8 and 9.1, an ordinance regulation for special permit. That's leave to withdraw. M is same as L. That's also leave to withdraw. N is for the City Council to amend the zoning ordinance, no longer allowing automatic right for residential care or rehab center, RA, R1, RA, R2, leave to withdraw. O is for the city to amend its ordinances to limit parking during business hours at 548 South Street, leave to withdraw. P is for discussion, potential zone change to create more appropriate requirements for 11 Yale Street, leave to withdraw. Q is for handicap parking sign, which is for 24 Hamden Street, moved to a parking spot in front, leave to withdraw. R is for the city of Holyoke rezone the following parcels for residential center, that's leave to withdraw. S is the Committee on Ordinance that the City Council remove the enterprise fund status for the wastewater treatment plant, leave to withdraw. T is for the City Council to look into creating a parking authority, leave to withdraw. U is for Committee on Ordinance whom referred in order that Finance Department be created under the leadership of the Financial Director, that's leave to withdraw. And finally, V, the Committee on Ordinance will refer in order that the City of Holyoke bar large vehicles from the following public ways. It's a list of streets, and that's leave to withdraw. So for H to V as read, it's to give leave to withdraw. Under discussion, Councilor Vacan.
Thank you, Mr. President. I will be brief. I just want to make comments on two of these. Relative to items 8L, M, N, P, and maybe one other, this is a matter that's many orders have been filed on that remains a matter of importance in the city. And I expect that this matter will be addressed again this year. It has not yet been taken up. And for item 8R, this matter had been taken up for a period of approximately 7 years. And in my opinion, this is the biggest overreach of government I've seen since I've served on the city council. And I am very thankful to the wisdom of those who did not support the zone change that would have caused the city to impose zone changes on all of these property owners was defeated. And I will state that in public, at least 2 of the property owners publicly came in and did not want to be part of this. And the other ones never came to any public hearings. So it was a very puzzling, long, convoluted process, and I'm happy to see it end. Thank you.
Councilor Bartley.
Yeah, thanks, Mr. President. Just for a point of clarification, 8O has been complied with. The signs are already posted, and we passed that. And I know I'm losing it, but we already passed it and approved it, and the signs are up, so they're already ordained.
Do you want to take it out?
I don't.
Or I don't know if it was
I
a
don't think
duplicate, perhaps.
It might have been a duplicate. I
It
don't
could be a
know.
duplicate, that's why. It's a duplicate.
Okay.
That's why.
So the signs are up. So that one's been complied with.
Okay.
8V, this is an opportunity again. This has been complied with as well. It's an opportunity to thank Acting Mayor Murphy for his leadership and meeting with the neighbors on the street with me and with others and getting a lot of signs up there posted. It hasn't been a cure-all, as my friend Joe will testify to, but it's been quite a mitigating factor. So I'm grateful for that. You know, we can move on with that. And then just on some of the other orders, I would say a good third of those are ones that I filed, and I spoke with the ordinance chair already, and I'm good to go with this process, and I'll refile them. So she does a great job as always, and I think some of these, Mr. President, were kind of repetitive because I was getting frustrated because a year would go by and the chair wouldn't take them up. I mean, in another year, so I would just refile them. So now they're all kind of bundled here, but I'll condense them into one or two orders and send them back up again, and we'll see where they lead. Thank you.
All right, so Counselor McGivern.
Thank you, Mr. President. If I could just a couple quick comments on a request on 8R. I agree with Councilor Bacon as far as we should not be imposing any zone on any current property owner. It's important. I think if a property owner wants to change their zone, they come to us through the proper process, hearings, and we listen to why they want to change it, and then we decide. There is a second side to this order, and it was the change of the language of what was originally the shopping center district, which I had sponsored many years ago. And I had sponsored it because at the time, there were mall owners and retail owners who are looking and still are looking for ways to do things creatively, because our retail districts, our retail business is not what it used to be. Stores, online stores, online shopping, everything, from Amazon to the way people shop now has changed. And malls, to attract people, to be profitable, need to have more flexibility. The shopping district was part of that, was to allow for height variances for I can't think of what they're called, the larger movie theaters there, the IMAX, things like that. For entertainment, some malls want to put, different types of rides, we're not going to say a roller coaster in Holyoke, but, there might be a Ferris wheel or something. But it's a way to allow this industry to be creative and to survive what's going on across this country. My request is, I agree with giving leave to withdraw. I would not have voted for this. I think my name might be on the order, but that was a Scribner error. My name's on the other order to change the language. What I ask is, there's a possibility that we may be visiting language to change our retail districts. And I just want to make sure, and I'm not even positive this is a problem, that we give this leave to withdraw, but without prejudice. So if down the road an individual property owner wants to come in for a different zone that is a retail center district, they wouldn't be precluded for a number of years.
Counselor Bacon.
If I may. So we received legal advice as to how to put this forth to the council at the committee meeting. And I do not believe and we can defer to legal if the body wishes, but I do not believe this would in any way stand in the way of a property owner seeking a zone change for their own property. This is only the city imposing it upon them. So I don't see that there'd be any conflict if they wanted to change it.
So is there a motion to allow legal to answer the question?
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? So, Mike, did you hear the question?
I did, Mr. President.
All right.
Good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Evening.
The usual rule about having 2 years to wait or not be allowed to reapply, none of those rules or limitations would apply in this case. So the chairman is absolutely correct. Any individual property owner or corporate property owner is free to reapply anytime they want for a zone change that only affects their own property. Hope that's satisfactory, Madam Chairwoman,
Thank you.
Mr. President.
Yep. Counselor McGivern.
Through the chair, if I could ask Attorney Bissonnette, Mike, is there any harm in just doing a leave to withdraw without prejudice, even if it's not necessary?
No, it automatically goes. It automatically goes with the leave to withdraw. unless there is a with prejudice for some reason. And so it automatically would just be off the table, wouldn't have any historic background whatsoever. It's just another defeated, withdrawn piece of legislation.
I appreciate that. The Hoyoke version is we always say without prejudice when we want to do it, not with prejudice. Thank you, Attorney Bissonnette.
All right, so anyone further on
Always a pleasure, sir.
H to V? So they are to be given leave to withdraw. All those in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Okay. That takes us to Finance. 9A, Committee on Finance is referred in order of CPA project's 2-year extension, and that was awaiting disposition. Counselor McGivern.
Make a motion to receive, I believe it's just adopt, Mr. President, and I can speak to that, but
Yeah, motion is, because it's CPA, motion is to receive, adopt, to grant the extension, then we do a roll call for that, but under discussion, Counselor McGivern.
thank you, Mr. President. The chair of the CPA came before the Finance Committee. I think everybody's got an attached list of what is coming in for extensions. Each of these projects have been adopted by the CPA and previously adopted by the City Council as projects that we agree with. As we did earlier tonight when we referred to committee, we have a right to veto projects that the CPA proposes. They do the actual work, and the actual legwork is, and appropriation is part of what they do. We are acting like a veto power where we can say no. However, sometimes, and Megan had a reason for each of these projects. I'm going to go through it quickly, be glad to answer questions. But sometimes a proposal has a hiccup where they have a delay to their deadline, and they have to go back to the CPA for what's known as an extension. I did talk to her a little bit after this afternoon and after the meeting. They're working on trying to do this a little different, because I don't know if the extensions have to come back to us for a vote. Is that necessary? If they just would let us know when something's being extended, and we can tell them, hey, we got a problem, you're giving them way too much time, or so forth. But tonight, they're asking us to approve the Pulaski Park Historic Rehabilitation to May 1st, 2024, the Chestnut Street VAC improvement until 12/31/2025, our War Memorial Project to 7/31/2024, Armor and Company to 5/30/2022, the Wayfinders Housing Project, February 31st, 2023, and Mayor Field to June 30th of 2022. There's plenty of explanations for each of these. Most of them were RFPs that didn't come in. One of them, the wage didn't meet the prevailing wage requirement by the state, and she was very good, very thorough. We can answer questions about these projects, but we're not voting on the projects tonight, just a deadline. But if there's any, the Finance Committee believes that the extensions are worthy, and we should adopt.
Counselor Bacon.
Thank you, Mr. President. I am not going to ask the Finance Committee to do their committee meeting over again. I'm very comfortable with the Finance Committee reviewing these requests for extensions from the CPA, but I do think it's very important that it goes to committee and to this body, because then we have a public record history of what is encumbered in that fund and for how long. So I do think it's important for us to keep that process going. Thank you.
All right, no one else? Online. So clerk will call roll. If you vote yes, you're voting for the extension for all these projects listed.
Anderson Burgos,
Yes.
Bartley,
Yes.
Givner,
Yes.
Jordan,
Yes.
Maldonado Velez, McGee,
Yes?
McGivern,
Yes.
Murphy Ramboletti,
Yes.
Coelho,
Yes.
Israel Rivera,
Yes.
Jenny Rivera,
Yes.
Tallman,
Yes.
Bacon.
Yes.
Unanimous vote.
With your vote, you approve that one. 9B, Committee on Finance was referred. An order that the Director of Wisteria Museum regarding the office assistant position reclassification from W2 to W7. Waiting disposition. Councilor McGivern.
Thank you, Mr. President. The director was before the committee. This was referred to our committee, and I remember talking about this at the full city council meeting to talk about the affordability. Was it something we think we might want to go forward with? These are both union positions. I'm sorry, it's a office assistant position, and the reclassification would change a range salary from the low end of which is like minimum wage up to a little bit under 16 to the new range salary, which would start in the low $17 up to almost $18 per hour. It's a part-time job, 20 hours a week, but the director says it's very important to what they do at Wisteria. She says it's not an entry-level job in terms of the responsibilities they have, and she made a good argument as to why. What we suggested was to refer to the Committee on Ordinance to see if it needs to be adopted into ordinance form. There's always been a debate about that when it's a union position, but the W7 is not part of the current existing language, so I think it does have to be changed.
All right, so this is being, motion is to send to ordinance. Councilor Bacon.
Can I just ask a question?
Sure.
With my mic on, that would help. I'm just wondering if the Finance Committee received any input from our consulting HR attorney relative to the rating on this classification?
We did not, and we did not have any attorney present with us last night, but that's a good question. I think we should explore with them.
Okay, so I just would like to ask, since we're in the public meeting and we have legal on Zoom, that they would advise us as to what the attorney's rating on the grade for this particular request is.
All right, so 9B will also need information from legal when it goes to ordinance. So sending 9B to ordinance. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Thank you.
Aye.
9C, did 9C come out?
9C remained on
All
the
right,
table.
That's fine, because it's not up here, but just want to make sure. 9D,
We
Committee
can
on
suspend
Finance.
the rules and take 9D and 9E together as a package.
Motion to suspend the rules,
Second.
take up D and E as a package. All those in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? D, Committee on Finance is, will let the chief come in before the Finance Committee, discuss staffing issues for budgeting concerns. And E is that the legal department chief and mayor come before to discuss the fourth captain position. Motion is awaiting disposition. Councilor McGivern.
Thank you. The committee recommendation is that both orders were complied with. As you know, Mr. President, you were the maker of the
Yep.
orders. We did have Chief Pratt before us. We had a very thorough and lengthy conversation about the manpower in the police department and what has taken place in recent months with the four captains, lieutenants, and we actually got a good, with Councilor Jordan's questions, we got a good overview of sergeants and what we like to think as is supervision of the three shifts of the police department itself. Very in a quick nutshell, when Terry Murphy was the acting mayor and prior to filing the budget, he sat with the chief of police and they talked about the fourth captain and the reason that Chief Pratt, and this quite frankly was good news to a few of us that have seen this over the years, said he thinks it's very important to have a captain on the second shift being the 4 to 12. He believes that's the busiest shift of the police department. They have two lieutenants besides the captain, and it's just and the sergeants, of course, who are out in the streets doing supervisory stuff themselves. There are three captains during the day. Each of them serve different functions, which are justified. There are three lieutenants during the day, each of them serving different functions in their own capacity too. There are two lieutenants on the late shift, which is the overnight, the dog shift is what we always refer to it. So after speaking with Chief Pratt, he said when he approached Mayor Murphy, they agreed to it, and he agreed at the time about a lieutenant spot that was in the budget. We, the city council, cut that lieutenant. It wasn't filled at the time. We cut the budget money for the lieutenant. And at the time, we talked about the captain part, which wasn't filled, and we didn't fully agree with it. We did not eliminate the captain's position. The money, although the money was eliminated, the position is still there. With Captain Pratt being promoted to chief and some changes within the system itself, the money is available, and the current system is, as I said, the 3 captains during the day and the 4th captain at night. To me, what justifies the expenditure is having that 4th captain at night, which I think brings a lot of credence to the most busiest shift of the police department itself. The committee voted that the orders have been complied with. We had the discussion.
All right, Councilor Jordan.
Yeah, I just want to compliment what the chairman said, and really, this is a big deal, okay, because we've really struggled over the years to get a captain on the 4 to 12 shift. The general prevailing view was, I want all the captains, at least from past chiefs, on the day shift. To have that senior leader on the busiest shift, I really want to compliment Chief Pratt in doing that. That is a big difference. It's an important difference. I'm glad he recognizes that, and it's appreciated because, one, there's a lot of public interaction with the police during the 4 to 12 shift, and when people are coming in, other than speaking to the chief, that is your highest senior leader of the department, and to have an opportunity to speak to the captain, to provide that type of leadership on the busiest shift, is very, very helpful to the public, and it's very helpful from an efficiency perspective of the department. So I appreciate that the chief recognizes that, and that's a long time coming, and he deserves a lot of credit for that. Thank you.
Councilor Bacon.
Thank you, Mr. President. And I also want to say kudos to Chief Pratt for this reason. When I met with him one-on-one, he told me that was his vision for the 4th captain. And I said, well, that makes me a lot warmer to it than I have been otherwise. So I just want to give him kudos for walking his talk, because he had full discretion with how he organizes his department, as he should. But I'm just very pleased to see that he had that vision and he implemented it in the way that he put it forth to us. So, thank you.
Anyone further? So motion that those 2 are complied with. All those in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? 9F, Committee on Finance has referred an order for $7,000 from Development Specialist to Senior Project Manager. I assume that this is to be passed, so motion be receive, adopt, pass the first reading. Councilor McGivern.
Thank you, Mr. President. Our Economic Development Director / Planning Board Director Aaron Vega was with us. We had a very lengthy conversation about both of these positions. The immediate position where the $7,000 is showing a surplus was an employee who retired, I think a good 6 or 7 months ago. He was a very important part of the office himself. Ben, left for another job and left this position open. Aaron went through the grants, and I believe everybody's got the 2-page. I won't, unless someone wants me to, I won't go through every grant that the project manager and the development specialists have brought in, and the importance of both these positions in terms of what they do for the office itself. But he made a very strong argument. And on top of not just what the obviously, and Councilor Jordan made a great point about marketing and doing better marketing out there, but there's also a number of things that have come under the umbrella of this office over recent years, which includes the Bike and Pedestrian Committee, the bike pad, the pedal, the bicycles themselves. I'm sorry if I forgot the PVTA stuff. There's the Tourism Committee, which is very relatively new, but very popular with a number of business owners and leaders. The Historical Commission is part of the office now, and these positions together offer the support to each of these other entities that do such good work within the city itself. Aaron made the argument that the money is a surplus now. He's going to have to revisit this come budget time as to what's going to happen next year. He's going to have to make his arguments with Mayor Garcia. And that, at this time, the Finance Committee is recommending that the transfer be allowed to get through the rest of the fiscal year for the purposes that have been outlined.
Counselor Vacan, then Counselor Jordan.
So I'll just ask my same question. Unfortunately, I didn't see this part of the meeting. Did we get input from our HR attorney relative to the grading and justification for the change in salary scale for this?
There's no change. These are
Not a change.
they're two separate positions.
Okay.
And there's no change in scale. It's just putting money into one, which there was grant money was feeding it, and the money would just, serve the purpose of each of these positions being filled at the current time.
So he's in essence giving the person a promotion to an open slot in the office.
I think they're two relatively new people. And this, sorry, I should have said this too. The salaries are identical. The annual salary is $52,500. He actually brought the salary down from one of the new people that was hired, the one that replaced Ben.
Thank you for the clarification.
Counselor Jordan.
Yes. So again, just by way of transparency, I think it's important to note that the $7,000 is just for this year. This ultimately would be a $33,000 request for the full year. So there will be an additional cost to the city. But one of the things that, $33,500 to be exact, but one of the things that we had talked about in finance was the fact that they have to demonstrate a return on investment to justify the $33,500. And they're, the head of the department, Aaron Vega, I thought, he got that. I thought he spoke well to the issue. He is planning to spell out in basically a business plan to us what exactly the development specialist is going to do, what the OPED project manager is going to do, why they're going to be able to return that $33,500. So keeping an open mind on it, what he's saying is, one, this will give me the full complement of people in the department. It's also going to enable the department to do a lot of the things on that, quite frankly, are near and dear to me, which is more marketing, going out, not being reactive, but proactive to go outside the city, to actually draw more people in, to go to conventions, to get the message about Holyoke, our available space, and to, as necessary, even travel the country and go out there to really drive business into the city. If that can be achieved, then $33,000 is all money well spent. So we do have two existing positions, but what they're basically doing is getting rid of the Mass in Motion grant portion of it, which is not money we can necessarily rely on year to year, and it so consumed the duties of the position that it wasn't able to achieve the objectives of the department in these other areas that we think are important. So I am voting for this. I'm looking forward to the budget hearing. I'm sure Aaron will do his homework to convince us, as well as, of course, he has to first convince the mayor to do this. But looking forward to this because his department is extremely vital to our success. And if we can support that and there is a good ROI back to us, we'd be crazy not to support that. So looking forward to some of these changes and giving the department head the opportunity to achieve those.
Counselor Tallman.
Yes, we had a great discussion with Mr. Vega last night. And it's important, as Councilor Jordan stated, marketing the city. That's everything. This position, these two positions, there's so much work in that office that it's really important and vital that these positions are filled at a decent salary. And as Councilor Jordan stated earlier, we're sort of holding him to the fire to make sure that he shows us a plan and how is this money going to be utilized and how's these employees going to work to make, the return of our investment for this position. Because as we're working on in public service, the Tourism Advisory Council, which is really a development that this person will probably be working on throughout the city to try to bring in business and try to bring in, really jobs and try to really market the city and actually go out and market our city to the outside area, because it's vital as this position grows and brings in people, the city grows, and we definitely need the revenue.
Seeing no one further, the motion is passed the first reading. All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed?
Motion to pass the second reading?
Motion to pass the second reading. The clerk will call a roll. If you vote yes, you're voting for the transfer.
Anderson Burgos,
Yes.
Bartley,
Yes.
Givner,
Yes.
Jordan,
Yes.
Maldonado Velez,
Yes.
McGee,
Yes.
McGivern,
Yes.
Murphy Ramboletti,
Yes.
Coelho,
Yes.
Israel Rivera,
Yes.
Jenny Rivera,
Yes.
Tolman,
Yes.
Bacon.
Yes.
Unanimous vote.
With your vote, you approve that one. 9G, Committee on Finance, who is hereby requested $2,000 from head administrative clerk to overtime. Motion be receive, adopt, pass the first reading. Under discussion, Councilor McGivern.
Thank you, Mr. President. Yesterday afternoon, before the Finance Committee meeting last night, Lori Belanger did give me a call and could not be present, even on Zoom last night, and which was fine. But she gave me a lowdown on what's going on here, and I presented it to the Finance Committee, and we agreed it's with good purpose. The head administrative clerk, the $2,000 is a surplus, unfortunately, because the city tragically lost the position to the passing of the clerk that was there, very sudden passing of the clerk. That position has been vacated for some time, although she is looking to fill it, and hopefully will fill it, and if not now, before the beginning of the fiscal year. The overtime is a request for her. That position, head clerk, was the material handler, clerk itself with a lot of duties. The second position that's left, the clerk and Lori have been doing a number of extra overtime hours, and she's looking to pay the 5 to 6 hours a week to her clerk to help keep up with the work and the void that was created by the loss of the administrative material handler's clerk itself. After listening to her and after talking to the Finance Committee, we agreed that this is a living within your budget, a good move to allow the transfer to take place and for the overtime when necessary to be allowed.
One further. The motion is, Councilor Bacon.
I would just like to quickly say thank you to that person for picking up that work. We're in an environment now where it's hard to hire people. In the health industry, you can't even find people to work. So I think for our folks that are tiding over in an unexpected situation like this, it's a great thing, and I strongly support it. Thank you.
So motion is to pass the first reading. All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed?
Motion to pass the second reading?
Motion is to pass the second reading. The clerk will call a roll. If you vote yes, you're voting for the transfer.
Anderson Burgos,
Yes.
Bartley,
Yes.
Givner,
Yes.
Jordan,
Yes.
Maldonado Velez,
Yes.
McGee,
Yes.
McGivern,
Yes.
Murphy Ramboletti,
Yes.
Coelho,
Yes.
Israel Rivera,
Yes.
Jenny Rivera,
Yes.
Tolman,
Yes.
Bacon.
Yes.
Unanimous vote.
With your vote, you approve that one. Off to public safety. 10A, Committee on Public Safety, who was referred in order that Cross Street does not stop sign be placed at the stop sign where Locust meets Hampshire. Recommended that it be adopted. Motion to receive, adopt. Under discussion, Councilor Rivera.
So technically I'm bringing up I'm doing somewhat of a clean out too as well with the jacket of the Public Safety Committee. And I'm bringing up orders that were filed within the last year or year and a half. And this is one of the ones that came up. And it's pretty straightforward. We spoke about it. Bob Parent came on and explained and elaborated. And he felt that we as a body, I believe we voted unanimously to recommend for the order to be adopted.
Correct. So motion is to receive, adopt. All those in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? You want to take up B through E as a package, Counselor?
Sure.
All right, motion is suspend rules, take up B through E. All those in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? B is public safety, effort to obtain fact-based data, statistics. The city do an independent assessment of the Hoyoke Police Department structure, policies, procedure. Recommended that's been complied with. 10C, public safety, for air quality concerns related to commercial use in and around the IG zone, regardless of whether it's commercial use or not, or cannabis or not, recommend it's been complied with. D, public safety, that the city forestry report to the council with regards to trees and remediation at 54 Lawler Street, 219 Suffolk Street, recommend it's been complied with. E, from public safety, is that we invite in the Board of Health representatives, Hoyoke Health Center, to discuss asthma in schools and around the city, and recommend that give leave to withdraw. Under discussion, Councilor Rivera.
So I'll start with E because that was the last one. The one with E, we recommended leave to withdraw because some of the people that are named here are no longer in the positions that they hold, that they held. And at the same time is also, if it's okay, I feel like that's an order that one of us could file again to actually bring it up and restart the conversation. It's a good order. It's just that there was no one present to be able to speak to it. So I feel like if one of us, if Willow would like to team up or something, or Tessa or anybody to possibly refile this order and try to get the conversation going all over again. So for now, it's just leave to withdraw. That's just an explanation to that. B, C, pretty much these were orders that were filed from, B was filed back, I believe, in February or March of last year. And I took it up so that way we could get through it, have the conversation. We had the conversation. It got referred to the mayor to as complied with to the mayor. And then there was the older one that Tessa and I had kind of filed close together with regards to. We had a great conversation with I believe her name was Sarah.
Sarah, and then Ryan from the Board of Health.
Board of Health, and they explained to us we have about 5 or 6 air quality monitors that don't measure VOC, which is what kind of would find or I forgot the word, but that would measure the THC ratings, but we don't have that, but that's something that's in the plan or in the works for the future. But right now, currently, what they measure is 2.5 PSI. I can't technically explain it yet. I'm working on that piece. But that I know that the 2.5 PSI, if it gets to that rating, that's something that if you are immunocompromised with regards to asthma and all the other things, and we know that Holyoke has high asthma rates, that would be a concern for people that are coming out into the community. So that's pretty much it. The other one, I believe, Councilor Bartley had fired that one a while back, but we spoke on it and we recommended for the order to be complied with. And that's pretty much it that I have for public safety.
Councilor McGivern.
I agree with the proposal here to appropriately give these leave to withdraw. And I just wanted to say, though, it just reminds me of not just these orders, but a number of other orders. Our former city councilor, former acting Mayor Terrence Murphy, Terry brought in an incredible spearheaded discussion about environment and asthma and how it relates to a high asthma rate within the city. And I for one, learned a lot. It was an educational process, and I think it's something that we always should be mindful of. Feel kind of helpless as to what to do, but at the same time, ignoring it isn't the answer either.
Anyone for Councilor Jordan?
Yeah, I wanted to ask the chairman about 10B. So this says that, and I remember to much fanfare, this order had been filed to do a neutral, fact-based data and statistical analysis, and that the city contract an independent assessment of the Hoyoke Police Department structure, policies, and practices. This recommendation says that it was complied with. That would mean to me it was done. And that the mayor, and I guess we're going to refer it to the mayor now. I don't know, did the city ever contract to have this independent assessment of the department structure, policies, and practices? And if it did, can I get a copy of their report? Because that would be extremely helpful to read. I'll read with much intrigue with my highlighter.
Maybe the wording is incorrect with it being complied with and referred to the mayor, but I think it was just referred to the mayor that was supposed to be instead of being complied with. You're correct on that piece.
He's doing the assessment now.
He's working on it right now.
So he's just to give the report. He's giving he's going to do the report and the assessment.
He's just
they're in the
going
works on doing that.
Yeah.
So he said just take this and refer it to him.
Right.
When they're done with it, he'll refer everything back to us.
And
That's why it was-
So can I make a friendly suggestion that we say that the order be adopted and referred to the mayor? Because what you're asking is that he go do it, and apparently he's agreed to do it. This would seem to suggest that it's already been done, and now we're just sending it along to the mayor for posterity's sake. But it would seem to me that we're asking him to go do it, right?
Right. So recommended that the order be adopted with a copy to the mayor.
And then he's going to give us and then I would request that a copy of the report be given to the city council for our review and further action.
Yep.
I'll second that.
Councilor McGivern.
That was discussed at the committee level, and I asked the mayor 2 questions. I asked 3, but only 2 that were, I think, important. One is, it's out for RFP. How much is it going to cost, and where's the money going to come from? I am uncomfortable saying adopt to something I don't know what the cost is going to be. 2 is, what is the scope of the RFP going to be? I heard discussion about an assessment of the police department. That's fine. I heard discussion about a financial audit of the police department, which is fine, but they're 2 different things. We do an independent audit of all our departments every year, and we do our own audit as a city council in terms of what we do with the budget review and what we do throughout the year with financial transfers and appropriations. So adopting something without knowing the cost and without knowing what we're adopting makes me feel a little bit uncomfortable.
So Councilor Jordan.
Yes, all great points, without doubt. However, what we're saying here is, of course, we already know the mayor can't spend any money without our blessing. So what this would seemingly suggest is we're asking him to do it. He would go out, seek whatever, apparently he's already found somebody, and that he's doing this, and then he's going to come back to us and say, I need X dollars, at which point we're going to say yes, no, get somebody cheaper or tweak the whatever. So, but conceivably, we're saying here that we want this done, which I think was the general consensus that we did want this done, right?
So Councilor Anderson Burgos.
Yes, the points that I wanted to make, Councilor Jordan made, I'm in complete agreement. Adopt this, make it go through, and we will see what it would cost.
Okay, Councilor Givner.
Thanks, Mr. President. I guess I would just reiterate that basically Mayor Garcia mentioned in that public safety meeting that he was soliciting proposals for a scope of funding, plan, and strategy for options and different ways to do a study and how it would be funded. So at that point, I guess when a decision is made, it would get kicked back to us as a different, in a different language, asking for funding for this. So it's not gone away. It's in progress and it's being figured out. But the first steps of it can be complied with because we've set them into motion. But obviously, like Councilor Jordan said, nothing can happen until it's paid for, and we've agreed to pay for it. So rest assured, it will be back.
All right.
Councilor Bacon.
Thank you. Well, I'm in favor generally of analyzing and looking at how we're conducting various departments. Right now, we have a huge water sewer treatment contract coming up that I don't think anybody understands, and that's coming up soon. So I'd, for now, rather see our money spent on something that we actually need to make some really structural decisions about to either continue with a contract, take it back into the city, et cetera. So, I mean, we're gonna have to prioritize things, so that's just what I see coming soon. Thank you.
Councilor Rivera.
And I agree with a lot of what's being said, and I kind of I'm kind of in the opinion of actually adopting it to make sure that it continues through the motions as well. I think that one of the main reasons why I pulled it out was because of the hoopla and all the other stuff around it, so that we could get through it and get over it and move forward, right? But the other piece too is that like this is kind of like one of the largest budgeted departments we have, and I feel like the assessment kind of makes sense. It's only fair, right? And not just to them. I think there should be assessments to all the departments, the fire department too, Parks and Recs, DPW, whichever one. Just if there's ways to be able to save dollars and make the processes more efficient, where we could save money for the city overall, we should try to do everything we can to explore that avenue at least. That's the only thing for me.
So motion was to change has been complied with, be adopted with referring to the mayor. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Those opposed?
No.
That was loud. All right, so on the motion as amended, all those in favor?
Aye.
All opposed?
Aye.
C, so C and D were also complied with. So just take those two. I know we read them as a package. So those are complied with. All those in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? E was to give leave to withdraw. All those in favor?
Aye.
All those
Aye.
opposed? We're on to, there was no public service, no DGNR, on to charter and rules. 13A, Committee on Charter and Rules was referred in order that the City Council amend Rule 34, add naming and renaming, refer to charter and rules, recommended it be adopted. Councilor Maldonado-Velez.
Thank you, Mr. President. I just want to, before getting to the orders, want to thank all the councilors that made it out. We had 11 out of the 13 members at the last charter and rules, so that's greatly appreciated. The discussions were needed and great, and some of them were short and some of them were very long. This first one, 13A, was a short one, which is order put in by Councilor Bartley, which was adding naming and renaming to rule number 34, as far as what were also the sort of the roles that we also take care of. So that's not really a discussion. It's short.
All right, so motion on that one is to recommend that be adopted. All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? B, Committee on Charter and Rules would refer that the City Council Administrative Assistant be a 2-year appointment that coincides with the City Council terms. Recommend that be adopted. Under discussion, Councilor Maldonado-Velez.
Thank you. This was also another very short one. I think Jeffrey's doing a good job, but whoever the administrative assistant, I think we all agreed like it can coincide with the City Council terms. I don't think there was much discussion that evening as well.
Councilor Jordan.
Yes. Do we have the legal form for the charter change in front of us?
That's a good question. No, we do not. So that one, Councilor McGivern.
That's a good point, and I apologize. I should have brought this up at the committee meeting. Is the charter was the city messenger, and then the administrative assistant. I think we did it by ordinance only, but I'm not 100% sure.
Table 13B to have legal come back on it.
Yeah, you need a charter change to change it from 1 year to 2.
So motion is to table.
Well, we eliminated the city messenger, which was the 1-year term.
I think what we did is we actually just changed the title. We as I recall, and I kind of had a front row seat for that, was that we just modernized the title, but the whole 1-year term comes word for word from the charter.
I agree. I just think we did an ordinance change too, but that's
we'll have it
safe than sorry.
checked.
Yep.
I apologize to the chairman because what a fantastic meeting that took place at the Charter and Rules. 2 terms ago, there was some chairman of Charter and Rules that met at least twice over 4 years, I think.
Yeah, I couldn't find the jacket either. He had trouble finding the jacket.
I don't know where that jacket, whatever happened to it,
It was like hidden under a car seat. All right, so this one would be to table, and we'll have legal follow up on what is required. All those in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? C, from Charter and Rules, referred an order, add rule to require a set month meeting time for all city council committee meetings. Recommend it's been complied with. Under discussion, Councilor Maldonado Velez.
Thank you. So this was an order put in by me. This was also after conversation with some constituents, just being very transparent and sort of helping organize better, like timing and stuff, like schedule around city council meetings. I think there's another order that was kept in the that was tabled, which has to do with sort of reorganizing and really rethinking, restructuring what responsibilities go to which committee. So it was sort of decided that we can sort of take that up there, but also another part of the conversation that happened here was, I mean, Councilor McGivern just sort of touched on it, like meeting twice in a 2-year term. That sort of sends a signal that if you're not meeting that often, then what exactly is the point of the committee? So really starting to have those conversations to make sure that we are utilizing our time and making sure that we are making the changes regardless of why we're here and who voted on, that we're doing the work, and making sure that our committees are meeting regularly. But like I said, this will be a conversation we'll probably take part with the other order that's still in the committee.
All right, so motion that this one has been complied with. All those in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? 13D, Committee on Charter and Rules, an order that Rule 61 be amended and inserting or at the next meeting or the committee, whatever comes later, after the word 30 days, also amend the rule by adding a new section. This is to give leave to withdraw. Under discussion, Councilor Maldonado Velez.
Thank you. So this was an order put in by Councilor Anderson Burgos. Side note, I think the moment that I learned on last Wednesday is making sure that whoever is putting in an order that they get their chance to speak before the committee decides on what to do with that order. So thank you for pointing that out, Councilor Anderson Burgos. But the decision was pretty much made to leave to withdraw because Councilor Murphy-Rambelotti had put in another order that was sort of similar, or we're also waiting to make sure that that order has the intended effect, and then we can revisit this. Yeah.
All right, anyone further on this one? So give leave to withdraw. All those in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Mm-hmm. 13E, Committee on Charter and Rules, that the City Council consider changing 44A to reflect the following, that all City Council subcommittee agendas and legal forms be distributed to the council by 1 p.m. 7 calendar prior to the scheduled meeting. And this one's been complied with. Under discussion, Councilor Maldonado Velez.
Thank you. So we put it was complied with. It was, since it was said in the order that we consider it. I think it was a good conversation. We discussed how pretty much it's not a practicable order in practice. Anyways. So even though I think the goal of it is to make sure that we get the agenda and everything we need with enough time for us to sort of do our homework before we have to come into the full city council and make really big votes. But it just actually wouldn't cover it because we can't do it in practice. One example we used was a finance committee, for example, met 1 week, or ordinance that meets 1 week. We wouldn't be able to get those agenda items onto the agenda to the very next one if we followed this rule. So I think it was good discussions that we needed to have, but it just at the end of it all, it was just not a practicable order.
Anyone further? Motion that it's been complied with. All those in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? 13F, Committee on Charter and Rules would refer that the City Council limit debate of items covered in committee to 60 seconds in the question and inquiry only, and limit 3 questions per counselor and response no more than 60 seconds as well. Recommend that this one's been complied with. Councilor Maldonado Velez.
So this one was a pretty lengthy discussion. I think even members of the public had something to say about it even before it was talked about during committee. I think the intent behind it, and I think what we got from the conversation essentially is, at least for me, is just really just be aware of a lot of the space that we're taking up. But I do understand where a lot of other people are coming from. I don't think or we didn't think that passing this order, one, someone mentioned enforceability, meaning if everyone got 60 seconds, who's keeping track of those 60 seconds and making, there's a lot going on at the same time. Someone also mentioned, this democracy, making sure that we get our voices heard, and whatever points we need to get across, we have the right to do so. And then also someone else mentioned we do have something that in our rules where councilors only get to speak twice on a matter, and then we have to vote as a council to allow a third time speaking. I think after all the discussions, I think we've all sort of heard each other clear that, like I said, one of the rules I like to follow is stand up, step up, step back. But this is the chambers that we walked into, and I think we're all understanding I think we all understood what we stepped into. But we're also here to make changes. So this was an attempt at that, and it was a discussion that needed to be had, and not not practicable, but good that the discussion was had within this body.
Councilor Givner.
Just to second that, briefly, of course. I think it did cause a good discussion, and if nothing else, it made us all aware of the time we take up and the space we take up, and pay attention to repetitive language or reiterating points that we've already said. So I think it was very helpful, and I think we all got a lot out of it. So thanks, everybody, for your patience with that discussion.
Councilor McGivern.
I just want to note that the committee reports from finance were a little bit shorter tonight.
Councilor Bacon.
And I want to thank Councilor McGivern for giving real-time feedback to the committee by timing the speakers and giving the ratings.
Who won that again, Councilor Bacon? Who won?
I'll defer to
Who's number one? I wrote it down.
Todd McGee.
I said last. All right, so this has been complied with. All those in favor?
Aye.
All opposed?
Mr. President, you want to take G, H, and I as a package?
Absolutely. So
Yes.
take up G, H, and I as a package, suspend the rules. All those in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? G is with regards to should the city treasurer be changed to an elected position, appointed with the treasurer and tax collector, recommended leave to withdraw. H is that the charter and rules, DPW commissioner and sewer commissioner meet to discuss merger of the two, we leave to withdraw. And I is that the Holyoke Historic Commission and the Holyoke District Commission be one, but that's leave to withdraw as well, because we'll be following up with other information. So with that, Councilor Maldonado-Velez.
Yep. So to go over them real quick. So G13G is actually a duplicate order. So there's already an order in committee around the same question. Just a heads up, the next charter and rules will be discussing the city clerk / treasurer ballot question that has been put in place. So that's happening at the next meeting. 13H, from the law department suggested that we wait to hire a new DPW director, and then we can sort of refile this if the conversation from there leads to this. And then the last one, 13I, which is pretty much there. Both the historical commission and the historic district commissions are waiting to have this conversation before we have a final act on it, because there's just a lot of answers that they want to get answers that they want responses, or questions that they want answers for, before we put this through and we order it. So we just told them that we'll refile it once they're ready.
All right, so all three are to give leave to withdraw. All those in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Joint School Committee, City Council, there's nothing, so we're on to motions, orders, resolutions. As discussed in Charter and Rules, if it's going to committee, don't debate it. 15 from Councilor Murphy-Ramboletti, order that the DGNR invite in the development team from Wayfinders to provide an update on the Library Commons project. So to DGNR. All those in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? 16 from Councilor Powell, that the city engineer draft the cost and feasibility installing 2 raised crosswalks on Main Street adjacent to Springdale Park. So to
Public safety?
public safety.
Public safety.
So receive to public safety, copy to the city engineer. All those in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? 17 from Councilor Paul, that the city engineer, park department, and OPED provide an update on the improvements for Springdale Park. And so that'd be, we'll have to do receive, adopt.
Could I be added to that one?
You want to sign on?
Oh, my bad.
All right, so hold on 1 second. Receive, adopt, send to city engineer, park department, and OPED with a report back within immediately. So, all right, as soon as possible.
Well, once they
30 days?
Just a friendly amendment, make it 30 days.
All right, so motion receive, adopt, send to city engineer, parks, and OPED with a report within 30 days. All those in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Adding on Councilor Rivera. Of which, item 18 from Councilor Rivera, that the city council invite the DPW director of Chicopee to speak on the refuge pickup system that was developed several years, the cost benefit for their community. So
Safety.
DGNR or
DGR.
DGNR?
Yeah.
All those in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? 19, order that the school committee, along with the HPS, present the third grade literacy outcomes for the past 5 years, including COVID years, along with steps taken to address the said outcomes. Joint committee?
Yes, sir.
All those in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? 20 is from Councilor Tallman, order that the administrative assistant invite in and provide a quick tutorial during the public service meeting on councilors' use of Google Drive folders and better understand the use of electronics. So you want to...
Public service?
Public service. All those in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? 21 from Councilor Bartley, an act to provide, an act be approved amending the charter of the city of Holyoke regarding certain memorial appointments.
Mr. President,
Councilor Vacan.
if I may.
Sure.
Counselor Bartley was nice enough to let this be filed under his name because he was the original filer of the order. And for those of you who were on the council last year, this was the home rule petition that was passed by the council and approved by Mayor Murphy. But because it was so close to the transition between his office and Mayor Garcia, he never had an opportunity to sign the language that needed to be sent up to the state. So what you have all received with your agenda, 48 hours at least before the meeting tonight, was the legal form that ideally would have been submitted to Mayor Murphy before his last day, but was not accomplished. So what the legal form that you all have before you does is to put in the proper language to amend our charter, which then has to be sent up to the state as the other home rule petitions have been sent, as have been approved by the body. This is unusual in that it went from 1 year to another, but I really thank our legal department because there are a lot of moving parts and we didn't do things in the normal timeframes of our normal elections. And so I think that the reason that we're having to take this up now was largely because of a number of variables that were in play. So I thank them for getting it to us now.
Okay. Councilor Bartley, did you have your hand up?
Yeah, just the motion would be to receive, adopt, and refer to the mayor.
And I'll second that.
All right, so the motion is receive, adopt, refer to the mayor. All those in favor?
Aye.
All opposed?
I think that requires a roll call vote, though.
Okay, we can do a roll call.
It's a charter change.
I know we're sending it to the mayor. but-
Yeah, I was just gonna say, we need to
Okay.
send it to the state, so we definitely need a roll call.
All right, so
Yeah.
clerk will call the roll. If you vote yes, you're voting for motion
Mr.
to receive,
President?
adopt, send to the mayor. Who was that, Councilor?
That was me.
Councilor Rivera.
Oh, Councilor
Just for
Rivera.
clarification, so that if we vote in yes, that is just a recommendation to the mayor, right?
No, that's to adopt it.
To adopt it.
He has to approve it
He has to
also.
approve it.
Yeah,
did?
you can
All right.
say no.
But just for the record, as it was stated, the council already passed it and somehow housekeeping wise, it didn't make it up there. He didn't get it signed in time. So this would allow Mayor Garcia to now do it, assuming he still wants to do it.
So clerk will call roll. If you vote yes, you're voting for this. Councilor McGivern first.
I think just in fairness, because we have so many new councilors, a charter change like this requires a 2/3 vote of the full city council and the mayor's signature, then the legislature, and then the governor.
Right.
Although we knew Mayor Murphy was going to do this, if I was mayor and I'm not sure what Mayor Garcia would do, I would not sign it.
Councilor Anderson Burgos.
Thank you, Mr. President. I would like to know if, I mean, I feel fine voting for this, but I don't, and I can't say that my new colleagues here on City Council feel the same way. I would really like to take the opportunity to ask them to speak up if they are confused or if they have any questions regarding this order, to please speak up now. Just my observation and my experience from past, past votes that I've taken in my 4 years of sitting in City Council.
Councilor Murphy Ramaletti.
Thank you, Mr. President, and thank you, Councilor Anderson Burgos. I'm definitely not feeling comfortable to vote in favor of this tonight for, I guess, a few reasons. I understand that it was not something that this came before this council, but to ask this council to make a decision on behalf of the opinions of the prior council just kind of seems to defeat the purpose of a new council. Just like we have our own thoughts and stuff. And so I would love the opportunity to participate in a discussion because as it stands right now, I would not be voting in favor of this. I don't think that the council needs to have more authority over positions that are considered the mayor's to appoint. But, you know, I'm willing to discuss that, and I'd love that opportunity.
Councilor Jordan.
Yeah, obviously, I mean, I'm strongly in favor of this. I can tell you at least on 4 votes, the one relative to the Board of Public Works and Fire Commission has been appointed, has been adopted by this council. Previously, it didn't have the mayor's support, and so it sort of died. I continue to think that's a great idea 2 ways. And here's why I've always been in support of these boards and commissions having confirmation authority with the council. 1, yes, it does need our approval to get them on. But the reverse is also good. The mayor can't just arbitrarily remove you without our approval. So it gives the commissioner a little bit more autonomy. You know, it really goes back to the old days. It's almost laughable that, and I can think of the example of the fire commission where people would ask for their resignations at the time of their appointment. And they would literally sign letters that said, I hereby resign, and the mayor would keep that in their desk. And so whenever they didn't want them, they just pulled out the resignation. I mean, this is how some of these commissions were gamed in the past. But to your point, I mean, I'm obviously strongly in favor. However, as a courtesy to you, and there are numbers, I mean, if the majority of the will is want to talk about it some more, I know some of my colleagues may not be that happy. I would vote along with you to table it if you feel, but I think as you study this, you know, some more, I think you'll be warm to the idea. I really think it isn't just a power grab by the council, because we've also looked at it as a protection for commissioners too. So it goes the other way. And I think this is and these are really important commissions. Like some of the ones we have confirmation aren't nearly as important as the DPW and the Fire Commission, okay? So those, in my opinion, definitely should be confirmed by the council too. But if somebody likes more information, I always tend to defer to that. So, you know, I wouldn't have a problem waiting a couple weeks, whatever. I mean, that you want to study the issue some more, I wouldn't have a problem. I don't know if that's the consensus view, but I would vote along with the councilor on that.
Councilor Vacan was next, and Councilor Bartley.
Thank you. So this is a very unique position that we're in. And I don't know if any of my fellow councilors can even speak to a time where something did not get implemented in the prior legislative session that had been properly approved, supported by the mayor, and just not the paperwork finalized. So I think part of what we're talking about here is the integrity of the legislative actions that took place
legally and in the duly elected body. That doesn't take anything away from the new body having a different opinion. But I would just note, except for the fact that that paperwork didn't get done within a 10-day window so that Mayor Murphy could sign it, it would be done and we wouldn't even be talking about it. So this is just an effort to complete the work that we're still trying to get out of 2021 in some regards. So that's just a perspective I'd like to share. But otherwise, if you look at this language, you see that there are already many listed positions, as Councilor Jourdain has alluded to, and this is just adding some of the other positions. So it's not adding a new function to the council. It is just, as we have done before, amending the language in it. So thank you.
Councilor Bartley.
Thank you, Mr. President. First of all, thanks to you. And I agree with everybody here. It's a good discussion. I can't stand having committee meetings at City Council. I have no problem tabling this for tonight, but let me tell you the reason why I put this together the way I did, obviously with the help of the law department. So I get a little disheartened when I hear, sometimes somebody saying, I wouldn't support this. Well, let me tell you why I wrote this and why I think you should support it. And it was summarized last night in Finance Committee by my friend, a longtime friend, the Public Service Chair. And his remarks last night were relative to City Hall employees. How we don't get a chance, but rarely, unless we go out of our way, to walk into departments to meet the employees of the city. I've done it myself consistently since was elected and came into office in 2012. This is a chance to have every single member of a commission and a body come before us. As I said here at least 50 times, we're not the U.S. Senate, but gives us a chance to meet them and they meet us. In my 10 years plus on this board, we have not once denied a position or an appointment promoted by the mayor. Not one time. I voted against them, but I lost. So the mayor's office has 100% approval rating. That's as simple as I can make it. If we don't want to meet our fellow Holyoakers, how many of you have met all the commissioners on Public Works? How many of you have met all the commissioners of the fire department, have the fire commissioners? They have ability to hire and fire. You haven't met many of them, I'll wager. This gives us if we prove this, it's as simple as that. The mayor still has all the power to appoint, and it's not like it's a 2/3 rule, it's simple majority. We get to meet them, and importantly, they get to meet us. And I think if that does, and that's just what my friend said last night, meeting the people that work for the city, this is a chance for us to meet the decision makers of the city. So I hope that helps. But again, and just one last point, I have had multiple conversations with the mayor about this. I was hopeful to drill down to a final verdict today, but I couldn't. But the mayor has said to me that he is very warm to supporting this. This is Mayor Garcia. He did not say stamp it today. I was hoping to get his final blessing today. Those words are not said to me. So I have no issue tabling this now as a maker under my name. Obviously, with Councilor Bacon and others doing this, help me out, and Attorney Degnan. So if anybody wants to talk to the mayor, and think about what I've said. It's as simple as that. This is not taking power from the mayor. Please don't think that. It is not feathering the nest of the city council. Please don't think that. It is not causing a delay tactic. Please don't think that. That's just not fair. It's simply a chance for us to get to know them to get to know us. All the decision makers of the city. I hope that makes sense. Thanks, Mr. President.
Councilor Givner.
I think that, thank you, Mr. President. I think that sounds really good. Unfortunately, if anything came out today, I didn't read it, I didn't receive it in time, so I'm not familiar. So I will not be able to vote on it, but I do think it sounds reasonable, but I wouldn't be able to vote on it today.
All right, so.
Make a motion
is
to
it-
table.
So
Mr.
there's a
President.
motion to table.
second.
No more debate after that.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
All
Aye.
opposed, so that one
Aye.
stands tabled. 22 is from Councilor Givner, a handicap sign be placed at 56 Linden Street. That would be 2 ordinance with a copy to the commission. All those in favor?
I didn't file anything this week, so I'm happy that this is a handicap sign, and I'm happy to go to put it through, but yeah, it's not from me.
This,
This-
I
I
have
can
a
explain if you want me to.
yeah.
hold on, so motion is suspend the rules, allow the clerk to speak. All those in
Second,
favor?
aye.
All opposed?
So when we get handicapped applications in the office, they usually go under the counselor whose ward the application is for. Usually we send an email to the counselor just giving the heads up that we're going to be doing that, and I apologize if you didn't get one. But that would be why it's under your name, because it's in your ward.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Sorry again if you didn't get an email.
Councilor Jordan.
Yes, I believe this is the same individual on someone's behalf that had called me to ask to do this. So if I could be added as a co-sponsor to this, I think, and I just said, well, when you have the application all ready and you know, go ahead and just, you know, the clerk's office will help you. I never, you know, was looking for my name or anything on
I
it.
saw the address, so I figured, but I was just like, whoa, I didn't file.
Yeah, that's great. But I had one where they called me about Linden Street for this, and I just said, well, when you're ready, move forward. But okay,
All right, so adding Councilor Jordan
yep.
to ordinance with a copy to the commission. All those in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? We're on to 23 from Councilor Jordan, that the Finance Committee review the status of secondhand license for Mimi Maya at 324 Appleton Street in light of the recent and numerous federal crime charges in connection with the business named Easy Exchange. The City Council should review the license and licenses the individual may hold in the city. So to Finance.
I actually think we can give this leave to withdraw now because of the tremendous work of Jeffrey, our assistant. He did a lot of legwork looking into this, and apparently it was reported in the newspaper that this item had been tabled. But in fact, the council pulled it up and denied it. So that was good. And then we looked into some inquiries into potentially other licenses that might be out there. There isn't any, and I believe he also took the extra assignment to talk to the police, and furthermore, the location is totally closed now and being used for some other purpose. So I think this is all set now. So
23, leave to withdraw.
yep.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? 24 from Councilor Jordan, that the police chief, fire chief, and representatives of the Hoyok Medical Center be invited to appear before public safety to discuss the baby safe haven law.
Yep. Refer to public safety, please.
To public safety on that one with a copy to all those who were mentioned.
Yep.
All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? 25 from Councilor Jordan, Councilor Bacon, that the police chief and fire chief have baby safe haven signs at all main police and fire stations to ensure that they're in compliance. Motion would be receive, adopt,
Yep.
and then send it to both chiefs, as well as a copy of this to public safety, because it goes in hand with 24.
Perfect, Mr. President. That's exactly what I wanted. Thank
All
you.
those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? Just catch up here. 26 from Councilor Jane, Councilor Puello, that the mayor's office please provide the city council with a list of all current host community agreements from marijuana companies in our city. Please also provide us with a list of how much revenue they are generating. Motion would be receive, adopt, refer to the mayor. Do you want a copy to finance?
That would be perfect. Yeah, that's exactly it. Yep.
Hold on, Councilor Rivera.
I'd just like to be added to that one too.
Adding Councilor Rivera.
Perfect. And I'd like to get our finger on exactly how much money listed out that we're talking about here. And I know there's some discussion about this new stabilization fund related, and how much is everybody paying us? I want to dot the i's and cross the t's and make sure everything ticks and ties here with all this money. And what exactly are we getting? I have a good grasp of the property tax side, but all these agreements, I'd like to have that all spelled out for the council's benefit so we can see just exactly how much money we're talking and where from.
All right, so that was receive, adopt with a copy to finance. All those in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? 27 from Councilor Jordan, Puella, and Vacan, that the Finance Committee review the fiscal year 22 budget impact as well as school building fiscal analysis impact of the assessor decision to the lower of the Holyoke Mall assessment by an additional $36 million. So that would be to finance.
Yes.
All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? 28 from myself, that the City Council appoint Tony DeLude as the third board member for the Board of Assessors. Remember, we want that third appointment there, so Councilor Jordan.
Yeah, I'd like to have this adopted. The only thing I did want to ask is, does the law department need to create a special employee status for him?
We can send it to committee. I just know they were down and Tony volunteered. And he's
Correct.
doing it for free. I think he does it, he's doing it for free.
Correct.
But
Yeah, he won't get paid. He's willing to do it for free, which is awesome. And it gives us the 3 assessors. So wildly in support of this. Just want to make sure we dot our I's on this just so that we do it right. Because I know he has another city job, but he's willing to volunteer to do this.
Do you want to table it with a response back from legal for next meeting?
Yeah, because I think if we can go forward, we should just go ahead and do it and appoint him to the third position. If, obviously he's our former chief assessor. He's definitely experienced and would be able, they only meet like once a year to do the official like abatement stuff. This is kind of just a housekeeping thing, but we do ideally need a third person to do this.
Mr. President.
Councilor Vacan?
Just as a point of order, could we make a motion to approve the appointment pending legal review in proper form?
I think you just table it for next meeting. It's not a dire need, but
Yeah.
it's a good question. Councilor Rivera.
Just for clarification, so this is coming up because he's a city employee and then applying for a city position or whatnot.
As a board member, yep.
All right.
Councilor McGivern, you had your hand up?
Well, it's our appointment. We appoint the assessors. There are 2 full-time assessors, which we lived with for many years, and the state stepped in and said, when they vote, you have to have 3. You have to have 1, 3, 5. You have to have an odd number. And for years, we fought with the state over this because it made no sense. As Councilor Jane pointed out, essentially the board itself only meets once a year. They work every day and they make decisions every day, but the abatement votes only come once a year. So Tony is the form. Most of us know Tony. I just don't know if everybody knows Tony, if they're comfortable with just, adopting it at the next meeting or if they want to meet him in committee and ask questions.
So, Councilor Jordan.
Right. 2 things is, I don't know if this is where Councilor Rivera is going with his question. 1, he's not a city councilor. Number 2 is if he's talking about special employee status, that would clear the State Ethics Commission issue on that. But you have to be, that's why I wanted to make sure that he has definitely special employee status in order to hold the 2, even though there's no second salary issue. Thank you.
And I don't think we ever gave this a salary at all,
No.
the third position. I think it was
No
just,
salary.
the person was, 2 people have done it and they volunteered.
Yep. Councilor Rivera.
I would vote for Anthony. He's a good dude. No problems.
All right, so motion is to table with legal to follow up to make sure we can do it correctly. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Next, Councilor
President, if I
McGivern.
can make a motion to suspend the rules to take together as a package, items 29, 30, 31, 32, 33, 34, 35, 36, 37, 38, 39, 40, skip one, 42.
All right.
Unless
so
you want to do them one at a time.
No,
Refer
motion
to
is-
Committee on Finance.
Yep, motion is suspend the rules,
Second.
take up as a package. Those that were referenced, I'll do a quick reading. They're all going to go to finance. 29 is For veteran benefits, 3,000 to out-of-state travel. 30 is veteran benefits, 4,440 to professional services. 31 is cannabis stabilization, 30,000 for site improvements. 32 is 40,000 from cannabis stabilization to Sargent Street repaving. 33 is 40,000 from cannabis improvements to crosswalks, lighting, parking, Dwight Street. 34 is 30,000 from cannabis stabilization to municipal lot, 63 Canal Street. 35, 300,000 for improvements to municipal lot, 60 Canal Street, repaving. 36 is 100,000 for improvements to the entrance of Hadley Mills Road. 37 is 75,000 to study pedestrian improvements, North Canal Street from South Hadley Bridge to Willimantic Bridge. 38 is $12,690 to support OPED staffing, internal operations, state law licensing. 39 is 150,000 for the Hoya Community College scholarship education program.
Mr. President?
Yep.
Just a point of information. Is this that's being called cannabis stabilization the mitigation fees that the businesses are paying through the host agreement?
I don't think so, but we're going to learn more about it because it's all going to committee as to how they're.
Well, I
coming up with this,
understand
yeah.
that, but I've just never heard of this fund before.
Yeah, that I questioned before, but once again, that'll be in committee as to whether or not that has actually been set up.
Okay.
40 is to explore the creation of a cannabis liaison coordinator, internal operations between Office of Planning and Economic Development and the City of Cannabis Industry. 42 is 5,000 from contracted services to software licensing usage fees. All those to finance.
If I could
Counselor
bend the
Jordan?
rule.
Hold on one second. Counselor Jordan, then Counselor McGivern.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. President. Just relative to 39, in advance of the meeting, if we could get a legal opinion on giving out public funds for scholarships
Yes.
to people.
Yep.
I'm very intrigued by this new concept that we're now able to use our city funds to give people scholarships. That's interesting. I've never heard of that before. I wonder when the state legislature is going to start giving out, scholarships apparently to residents walking down the street. And now cities can start giving out scholarships to people with tax money or other public funds. I've never heard of that. So this is interesting. I'm looking forward to the law department to weigh in on that.
Yep.
Thank
So
you.
that'll be Law Department. Counselor McGivern.
Good question. I asked it myself already. There is some answers to that, but we'll save that for committee. And whether we agree with it or not, we can save that too when it comes out of committee. I'm just making a plea here. We're meeting as scheduled next Monday, the 7th. Our next city council meeting, as we know, is the 15th, and then we got a couple Tuesdays, so we're off until April. The finance committee there's a lot of some time constraints in what's going into the finance, so it's going to be, I'll do my best to limit the agenda, but there's some themes here where it's kind of hard just to divide them up, but we'll do what we can. But for anybody that's interested in any of these items, feel free to do some research with the department heads or the mayor up front, and we'll try to expedite this as quickly as we can next Monday.
All right, so all those to finance, all those in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? So 41 and 43 take up as a package. All those in
moved.
favor?
Aye.
All opposed? 41 is $21,645.27 from lieutenants, sergeants, patrolmen, 2 injured on duty. 43 is $461.34 from captains, 2 injured on duty. Motion be receive, adopt, pass the first reading. Under discussion, Councilor McGivern.
Thank you. We do this routinely, and I just want to thank Councilor Israel Rivera. Last night, he asked Chief Pratt some questions that I don't think we have to state every meeting, but it's good to know. It's good that our listening audience knows this. Any public safety official, and this holds true for the police department and the fire department, that are injured on duty, immediately are referred to, and Counselor Jordan, help me, Metro?
Metatrol.
Metatrol, thank you.
Yeah.
And that's an independent assessment of the actual medical injury and what's taking place. There are other internal assessments that take place in both departments about, the time length, when the individual can come back to duty. In the police department, for long-term injured on duty situations, they do sometimes actually enforce a light duty situation where they can perform certain duties within the police department itself. This takes place in both departments automatically. What we do when we transfer this money, because of our ordinance that requires these interdepartment transfers to come back to us, is we're just doing this for accounting purposes. The individual obviously still gets paid as a police officer, as a firefighter, and we just want to take it out of the line item that shows the work was completed and put it in a line item for purposes of accounting that even though they're getting paid rightfully, the work is not being done at the time. So when we do our budget in June, we get an idea of how many hours we lost due to injured on duty.
Seeing no one else, motion is passed the first reading. All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed?
Motion to pass the second reading.
Motion is passed the second reading. Clerk will call roll. You're voting for 41 and 43.
Anderson Burgos,
Yes.
Bartley, Gibner,
Yes.
Jordan,
Yes.
Maldonado Velez,
Yes.
McGee,
Yes.
McGivern,
Yes.
Murphy Ramboletti,
Yes.
Coelho,
Yes.
Israel Rivera,
Yes.
Jenny Rivera,
Yes.
Tallman,
Yes.
Bacon.
Yes.
Unanimous vote.
For your vote, you approve 41 and 43. 44.
I can make a motion to receive, take off the table, and pass the first reading for purpose of discussion.
A second.
44. All right, so motion is receive, adopt, pass the first reading. Counselor McGivern.
Thank you. This is the transfer that would coincide with a recent discussion we had with Mayor Garcia about our administrative assistant being, and I made a little bit of fun of it, being the webmaster. It's not really the webmaster of the city, but however, Mr. Jeffrey Anderson Burgos has performed this duty for some time now, partly because he's well gifted in the area and can do it, and partly because of when the employee in the mayor's office left the city, nobody was doing it. When Mayor Garcia and the city council agreed to the language change to allow Jeff to do this, I questioned, I think all of us questioned that, would there be some type of salary compensation? I think everybody knows that when it comes to our appointment, that who works for us, we can't manage all 13 of us the position. Our president manages the position and works with the mayor in terms of any salary differences or any salary changes. So our president did talk to the mayor. This proposal here is from the $1,335. My understanding would be from now until the end of the year. My two questions are, I'm in favor of it, but my question is, is it possible to do some retroactive for Jeff for the work that he's already done, and more so not to the president, but I think to everybody else if there's a flavor for that. And second is there any reason to put this in committee? If there's anyone that wants to put this in committee, I'm fine with that. I just think the money is well deserved, and because it starts when we pass it, although I'd like to see it retroactive, I think it's necessary to move it quickly.
Counselor Jordan.
Yeah, I'm in favor of this. I will just say, legally, by law, he can go retro all the way back to July 1st, the start of the fiscal year. So legally, it could be done. I don't know if the mayor contemplated that in the 1135. Probably not. That's for just the rest of this year. I think it's a $4,000 a year adjustment. What does that move it to? From what to what now? Do we know?
41 to 45.
Okay. All right, but certainly I'm in support of this. I think I've been incredibly impressed with Jeff so far already, and I'm brand new here. So anyways, this is well deserved.
Counselor Bacon.
My questions were answered. Thank you.
Right. So motion would be receive, adopt, pass the first reading. All those in favor?
Aye.
All opposed?
Motion to pass the second reading.
Motion to pass the second reading. The clerk will call roll. If you vote yes, you're voting for the transfer.
Hartley? Givner?
Yes.
Jordan?
Yes.
Maldonado Velez?
Yes.
McGee?
Yes.
McGivern?
Yes.
Murphy Ramboletti?
Yes.
Puello?
Yes.
Israel Rivera?
Yes.
Jenny Rivera?
Yes.
Coleman?
Yes.
Bacon?
Yes.
11 yeas, 1 absent, 1 abstention.
Your vote, you approved it.
And I still would vote for retroactive if that was possible with the mayor.
I'll follow up with the mayor. Late files. A is a communication regarding the OPED project manager and information about it, which I think we were talking about earlier. So that would be to
Finance.
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 All those in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? B is from Councilor McGivern. It's $50,600 to CDL class and then snow removal overtime, so to finance. All those in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? C is from $5,000 from office manager to part-time clerk to finance. All those in favor?
Can you tell me what department that is?
Is Department of DPW.
Thank you.
D is from Councilor McGivern. It's another one. Oh, that's a duplicate, so that doesn't exist. That's D. Oh, boy. That one doesn't exist.
Mr. President, are these guys all given the same admonition that we are, that emergencies are for late file and non-emergencies are not for late file? I mean, that applies to the department heads too, right?
Yeah. But
If I could.
go ahead, Councilor.
And I agree with this, and I work hard with the auditor and the department heads to avoid these, and the mayor, because it's really sometimes the mayor, to avoid these transfers. Because of the snow day, we had an early agenda last week, so some of this just came in a little bit too late, and I apologize, but kind of important.
All right, so D is from Councilor McGivern that the City Council give the Hoyoke Public Schools permission to file an MSBA statement of interest for 80% reimbursement for Dean School boiler and new windows and doors at McMahon, Donahue, and Lawrence. So that'd be to finance.
Finance.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? E is a communication from Alicia Zoller for the, looks like the community block grant application. Send that to DGNR.
Yep.
All those in favor? All those opposed? That is it. There would be a motion to adjourn.
Motion adjourned.
All those in favor?
There's something wrong?
All those opposed?
No.
60 seconds. 60
evening.
It must be
seconds.
that Charter and Rules Committee.